NASCAR has officially filed its appeal brief in the appeal to the injunction ruling that 2011 and Firm Motorsports will be allowed to race as charter teams in 2025. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel and welcome back to our video. We got some pretty massive major breaking news that broke right before Daytona 500 qualifying happened, as NASCAR has officially filed its appeal brief in the appeal to the injunction ruling for 2311 in Front Row Motorsports. As reported by Bob Pockrass last night before qualifying happened, he said, due today, NASCAR has filed its appeal brief in the appeal to the injunction ruling that 2311 and Front Row to be allowed to race as charter teams and continue to pursue the lawsuit. Continuing on, they said, NASCAR brief, the district court's injunction order flouts federal antitrust law, misapply the established rules governing the use of preliminary injunctions, ignore unrebutted legally significant evidence of sweeping implications for the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. Continuing on in the NASCAR brief, these injunctions misuse the additional power to force NASCAR to treat its litigation adversaries as its business partner in confidence, undermining the mutual trust it has fueled NASCAR's growth and success. Continuing on with other stuff. At this point, NASCAR would prefer to extend the perks of the 2025 charter to owners committed to enhancing NASCAR's competitiveness with other sports for fans, sponsors, and media dollars, rather than owners that undermine NASCAR's brand. As it continues on as well, NASCAR stresses in its brief, team owners can receive approximately 50% of NASCAR's media revenue attributable to the Cup Series under the 2025 charter, a substantial increase from what they received in 2016, which was itself an increase from prior years. Look, we already knew there was going to be about a 50% increase no matter what for the teams that had signed the charter agreement. Remember, 2011 Front Row Motorsports are suing NASCAR on antitrust claims due to facts that they feel like the NASCAR has not been treating the teams in a very respectful manner. They didn't go with the key pillars that they wanted, which there were 4 key pillars. One of them was control of the sport, a little bit more control going back to the teams, and also other factors on that front as well. We've been expecting the NASCAR, of course, was going to go ahead and file this appeal. We've been expecting it, but it's interesting timing considering the fact, remember, this was put out around 6:12 Central Standard Time, 7:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Keep this in mind. Basically, qualifying happened right around that time. Now, obviously, it will not affect them for this weekend, as, of course, the filing of the appeal. But what NASCAR wants is them to take the charters away during this appeal so they can be open cars throughout the start of the season, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Because why would you wait this long? To me, what this tells me is that NASCAR feels like at the moment they've got to do something to try to get back control of the lawsuit. Over the course of the last couple months, we've seen a lot of stuff with the lawsuit coming up, and the new judge that's been coming in, Kenneth Bell, has been more on the side with the teams than it has been with NASCAR. The old judge, Frank Whitney, who recused himself from the case not too long ago, he's been more on the side with NASCAR, but he recused himself from the case because he had people that were involved with the sport in a way, but the teams didn't feel like it was completely necessary to have him gone from the case as a whole. To me, when I look at this situation, when it comes to the 2311 and Front Row lawsuit, I think we've been waiting for an update to come out. We've seen reports very recently, as a matter of fact, that NASCAR is considering selling an equity stake of the sport out to a different group of people going into this year. There's talking about in the next couple of years basically selling an equity stake. So I'd have to think maybe down the road we're going to see that happen. I think the lawsuit is really playing a major role in that. We've been seeing a lot more articles coming out about this lawsuit, and I think there's going to be a lot more stuff coming out. As in regards to the timeline of the upcoming days of the lawsuit, we do know for a fact that quintessentially there's a date for basically other stuff. Because I don't think that they're going to, because the big question I think some of you are going to be asking in my comment section, will they be able to win this appeal? To be honest, I don't think they're going to win this appeal. Look, those drivers that are 2011 Front Row, a lot of them have clauses in their contracts that they have to have a charter car. Tyler Reddick had that in his contract. Remember, Tyler Reddick almost did not have a ride going into 2025. He almost didn't have a ride going into this year because had they not had the preliminary injunction acquired for 2011 and Front Row, there's a very likely chance and possibility that they wouldn't have been able to start the season with Tyler Reddick this year. I think the same thing was in Bubba Wallace's contract. Same thing was in Corey Heim's contract. So we know he's going to make select starts most likely with 2311 racing this year. It's also in the same thing, I think, in Riley Herbst's contract, I'm pretty sure, with the Stewart-Haas racing charter. Same thing with Zane Smith, Todd Gillen, and Noah Gragson. All the drivers, of course, are currently in the Cup Series programs for the year. And had they not had those charters going into the season, there also could have been the possibility of sponsors leaving. In fact, there are a couple sponsors that have left 2311 racing. One of those being Dr. Pepper. I think Dr. Dr. Pepper left because of the lawsuit going on currently at the moment. Also, Moneyline, a company that's been with 23XI for the last 3 seasons. They were Team Penske, and they joined up because of Kurt Busch and Bubba Wallace. They're no longer at 23XI Racing going into this season. So I think for NASCAR's sake, saying that they're going to suffer themselves irreparable harm, and saying that other people are doing this and that they're the ones, I think is kind of a little bit funny to me, right? Because I look at this situation, and as much as I think both sides have presented really strong arguments, and I think NASCAR does bring up some good points on the revenue side of things, where the charter teams are going to get a lot more money. But I don't think it's all just about the money. If it was about the money, I think 23XI and Front Row most likely would have signed the lawsuit. But one thing that wasn't mentioned is, what about the new revenue? What about the gambling revenue? What about the streaming revenue coming into play? How much are the teams going to get from that? Because it's only 50% of the TV revenue, right? Which, again, that's huge for the teams, and the teams are going to be getting a lot of money. But NASCAR does have a pretty big say on how much of that money is really going to go out. I think in regards to the lawsuit at this point, this is NASCAR's last chance to really try to win the suit. They lost the opportunity to try to basically disrupt the lawsuit, completely let it go away altogether, which that didn't work into their favor. The judge basically denied that opportunity to come into effect. They lost the preliminary injunction ruling, and now the big question will be, will they win this appeal? And again, I just don't see them winning this appeal at this point. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to get it done this year. We'll see what happens though, right? We'll see how the rest of this lawsuit does end up playing out. But at this point, it seems like that things are going to be changing, because regardless of the outcome of the lawsuit, whether the teams 23XI Front Row end up winning or whether we do see the NASCAR win, the sport is going to change in a pretty big way. And I think the fact it's talking about selling equity stakes in the sport currently at the moment tells me that things might be changing, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse. We're not really entirely sure at this point, but I think that the sport is going to change in a very interesting way going into 2025. And I think this is definitely going to be a big story to follow throughout the year. This is one of the biggest talking points right now. There's a lot of people talking about this story. Drivers are worried about having their rides going into the year. And I think that there will be some big stuff to continue following and watching as time progresses and goes on. But we'll keep an update on the story for sure, and as more information does come up, we'll discuss here live. The day for the day to be filed for discovery, I think, is like July 18th or 19th or September 1st, and the court date we all know currently at the moment is set for December 1st of this year. And the Judge Kenneth Bell, wants this lawsuit to be wrapped up by the end of the year. They want to move this along really, really quickly, and they want to get everything done for 2026. So currently those teams don't have charters at the sign for 2026 right now, that being 23XI in Front Row. But if they're able to win the lawsuit and get it done, they will likely end up winning their charters back officially. And NASCAR really had no option and choice to let the process of the Stewart-Haas Racing charters go through with all the teams that signed. And Trackhouse, of course, got one of the charters for Shane Van Gisbergen for the season. And, of course, the other charters went over to Front Row. And, of course, 23XI as well. And one of them, of course, went to Haas Factory for Cole Custer in 2025. Again, as more information comes out about the lawsuit, we'll discuss here live on the channel. But really big story in regards to the lawsuit in case of 23XI and Front Row Motorsports and the appeal coming on NASCAR's end. So that is going to be today's NASCAR short video on the 23XI and Front Row Motorsports lawsuit update. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What side are you leaning toward in regards to the lawsuit? Are you leaning more toward the side of NASCAR in the situation? Are you leaning more toward the side of teams? And do you think that NASCAR is going to win the appeal or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Later tonight on the channel, we're going to have reactions to the dual races for duel number 1 and duel number 2. Expect that to be separated in 2 separate videos. Then tomorrow, we're going to have a long NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple of days. There could be 2 videos dropping on the channel on that front. We're going to have reactions to the Truck Series race as well. Then on Saturday, we're going to have reactions to the Xfinity Series race. Hopefully, the weather can hold off for the weekend so we can get the racing in, because there could be some weather in the forecast. Hopefully, weather doesn't become an issue for the Daytona 500. We're going to have content of people like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Connor Zillich, Jr. Motorsports, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez coming this year. Again, Connor Zillich, Carson Koffel, Sam Marshall, the Creed, and Eric Almirola, Chandler Chandler Smith from our Motorsports Lane Rigs, all that good stuff. And we'll have more updates on the lawsuit as time goes on. And good for some of the sponsors to stick around, like McDonald's and all Wendy's and all that good stuff this year. But we'll get more as time goes on. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.